Hello everyone, it's Lindsay, and today I'm back with another process video using some products from Felicity Jane, and I am continuing to work in my 100 days devotional journal. I'll have everything linked down below for you guys. I have found that this has been an amazing project for using up my leftover scraps and die cuts from Felicity Jane. They are perfectly sized for something like this, and they're just girly and pretty, and a lot of the colors match the colors that are in this book. So I know that I've used this book for a couple of the processes for Felicity Jane, but they just work so perfectly for that. So today I'm working on day 32, which is today's devotional if you're going in order of the 100 days. And we're talking about let good thoughts grow and how we can take our thoughts captive, and that we can control whether we are, think negatively or positively about whatever situation that we're in. And as I was kind of pulling everything together for this video today, I saw this photo laying on my desk, and I had no intentions of including a photo in here, but when I saw this, I thought this would be perfect because this is kind of my focus. My boys and I, this is just a selfie of my boys and I, and just remembering they're my purpose, and whenever I start having negative thoughts, I just think about them and just, my role as a mom and the things that I've given up in life and put them first, and quitting a 9-to-5 job and staying home and all those kind of things. And so just, we talk about some of these scriptures here about, here in Romans 12:2, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So it's not the typical pattern of today's society for women to stay home with their kids. And it's very easy to kind of look at other moms and what they're doing and kind of compare myself to that. And so this photo just made me think I really need to take a moment, stop and document this, and just remind myself why I do what I do. And so we will be using this photo. And I also think this is a good example, like, don't be afraid to use photos in a journal like this, even if you're just doing regular art journaling, maybe it's not devotional journaling, but to use photos of, documenting either people or things in your life. I think that that's something that maybe we forget to put into projects like this. I know we have, scrapbooking where we're specifically documenting photos, but a project like this, make it personalized and include photos. So there is a little bit of space here for me to create, and it just so happened that the colors of day 32 perfectly work with the products from the Denise kit for the month of June. So I do have a few pieces from Denise, but I've also pulled out a lot of things from my stash. I have one of the speech bubbles from Denise, but I have some of these like Bloom Where You Are Planted. I'll link these kits down below. They are still available. I checked before I got on here. I am going to use the Sarah die set, the Jill stamp set. It has this sentiment, you really are good enough, pretty enough, and strong enough. You are enough. So I definitely wanted to use those. I pulled out Gina. It had this Right Where I Belong, Bloom Where You're Planted. I'm not sure that I will use this one, but these all are still available. And then I just pulled out some other Felicity Jane products that were colors that would coordinate with what I was using. And so the great thing about Felicity Jane is there's a lot of colors that either repeat or just slight shades off of each other, and so you can kind of mix and match. Of course, there's always the staple black and white patterns, so you can kind of use, different collections together. So I have the Lindsey epoxy hearts so that I can remember to use those up. Let's see, I have the Sarah dot stickers that I'm going to use. I've got some washi. I think this is from Denise, the Denise Charms, puffy stickers. I also pulled out the packaging for the papers, so I'm going to use this to actually cut my tab out of for the top of my page today. So I have some fun techniques. I'm going to show you how to do some gold foiling with die cuts and things like that. So let me go ahead and put you on fast forward, and we will get this put together.
Okay, so let's start with the gold foiling. So I went ahead and cut the base of this flower from some solid paper from Felicity Jane, and then I cut the layering piece out of some double-sided adhesive. This is a sheet of adhesive that has a backing on the front and the back, and you want to be very careful, especially with the delicate piece like this. So at this point, the backing, you can see here, I'm going to pull off the backing. Anywhere where you touch that adhesive, it kind of pulls away and attaches to your finger. And so you'll see when you apply the foil that actually leaves blank spots in your foiling. So just be very careful when you're touching it and things like that. You don't want to, take away any of the adhesive. So I am burnishing that piece onto the base layer, and it does have little notches and things, so it's really easy to line up. I'm going to get my foil ready, It does not need to be a heat transfer foil. It could just be a foil that acts with sticky adhesives. I'm going to pull off that top layer of backing, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it in the camera, but the adhesive is now exposed. So I can lay down the foil shiny side up, and I'm just going to gently burnish this. So the stickiness of the adhesive is grabbing a hold of the foil, and so I just want to make sure that, you know, it's good and adhered. I don't want any stickiness exposed and not foiled. I want this as complete as possible. It's not going to be perfect because there just are places with this double-sided adhesive that is just a little bit tricky, but it gets the job done. So now I'm just tapping it back into the foil to pick up anywhere where there's still stickiness exposed. I also like to take my powder tool, dust it over the top just for any, you know, sticky residue that might be left. That way my pages don't stick together. And now I have this really fun foiled piece. It did not take much effort at all, and it just really kind of jazzes up your die cuts and changes them up. Yes, you could die cut out of just some metallic paper or glitter paper, but I didn't have that on hand, so I'm using what I have on hand, and this works for me. I'm going to set that piece aside for a second, and we're going to work on this tag. So there is this sentiment that was in the Jill stamp set, I believe, and I pulled out my stamp positioning tool because these die cuts are a little bit slick on the surface, and so I want to make sure that I don't mess up that print, and so I use that to make sure that it's, you know, good and clear. You do want to use something like archival ink or STAIS-on ink, a permanent ink like that, to stamp on top of these die cuts. They do have a little bit of a glossy finish, so I have seen some questions about how to stamp on these. That is how I do it. I don't use VersaFine ink when stamping on these die cuts. So now I'm just kind of positioning everything where I think I'm going to want it. I'm okay with some things getting covered up, like that number 32 is going to be covered up. I typically leave myself some room to do some prayer journaling or just some note taking. But for this entry, I'm just going to let the stamped sentiments and die cut pieces really speak for themselves. And I think they really capture what I wanted to convey with this entry. So for some added texture on the tag, I usually use fabric, but I thought it'd be fun to use this plaid washi. I looked on Felicity Jane. It doesn't look like this plaid washi is available any longer. I believe it was during Christmas time, but I just fold the washi over on itself, and then now I have like a ribbon made out of washi. So if you have a giant washi stash that you're trying to use up, this is a great way to use it up, and you don't have to go out and buy a bunch of fabrics. You can just use what you already have in your stash. Now I put that through, trimmed the tails, and off camera I did go ahead and use my tiny attacher to attach it. My tiny attacher, it gives me fits every time, so I don't leave it on camera because it seriously takes me like 10 minutes to get it to staple correctly. I wanted to incorporate some of those charms from the Denise kit, but I just couldn't get it to work with that tag, so we're going to leave them off of this spread for now, but they are super adorable. Let me know in the comments down below how you've been using them or ideas for how to use them, because they're just super cute, and I know I'm going to have a tendency to want to hoard them rather than use them because they're cute. So now I have everything positioned, and I'm just working from back to front, slowly gluing and layering things in. That flower die cut does come with a centerpiece that you can die cut, but instead of using that, I decided to use these epoxy stickers, and that just adds a little bit more dimension, and I could pull in this paler pink color, and I think that just looked a little bit better than the flat paper as a center. And I'm just using a glue stick because, quite frankly, I'm out of adhesive runner, but that's okay. The glue stick gives you time to kind of like wiggle and move things and shift things. Unlike these puffy stickers, I stuck that little banner piece down and I kind of wanted to shift it over, but that adhesive is no joke. It is not coming off that photo, so we're just gonna roll with it. Now these speech bubbles from the Denise kit do have a matte finish to them, and so I am going to use VersaFine ink when I use this stamp because this stamp is very detailed, and so I wanted to make sure I got a good impression, but I kind of wiggled it and moved it, and now you totally cannot see what the stamp said, but that's okay. I have that impression that's over on that white cardstock that I tested out beforehand. I can just cut that out and stick it over where I messed up. But I thought, well, if I'm going to have to do that anyways, maybe I should stamp with some colored ink because I don't have to worry about stamping on that green color. I'm stamping on the white cardstock. So I tried the yellow, but it's kind of difficult to read the sentiment. It says focus on the good. And so I just decided to stick with the black. fussy cut that out and just glued it right over the top of my mess up. And nobody has to know except for all the thousands of you who watch this that I messed that up. But you can see stamping does not always go perfect for me. I mess up too, and it's okay. Don't panic. You can fix almost any mess up. Now, I don't always add embellishments to that left-hand side of this journal, but I really love these sentiments, and they just really went well with the prompt. And so I want all those sentiments to really kind of speak, you know, how I was reflecting on these prompts. So that's why I included those. I went ahead and tab punched out of that packaging and used another stamp. I believe that's from the Gina kit. Everything will be linked down below for you guys, as well as over on the corresponding blog post if you want to see more close-up photos and things like that. Just using some of the Denise gold foil washi to bring in some more of that gold foiling since I have it on that die cut piece. And this little dainty scallop is just adorable. I'm trying to look and see. I wanted to pull in some more of that coral color, but I ended up just going with that kind of greenish colored puffy sticker up there. And I'm going to highlight one of the verses that really stuck out to me, and that is going to be it. Comes together super, super quick. Love how this came out. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave those down below. Check out the description box for links to everything. Head on over to the corresponding blog post for more close-up photos. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. And until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye.